All right, so UCP IQ8 is actually pretty good. Wait, were you expecting me to have like some kind of super inflammatory thing to say about it? Like UCP IQ8 is actually like the worst in the world. Like I'm gonna try to just like use that to farm college admissions processes for like some sweet, sweet clicks, like some kind of goober. Well, yeah, you're right. You got me. All right. I'm actually totally milking this admission season. Like, go ahead, man. Just detain me. All right. I got the cuffs right here. Okay, but like, jokes aside, right? I actually don't really think UCPIQ8 is really all that bad at all. Like, I think there's this sentiment online that UCPIQ8 is really just like the worst choice, especially on Reddit, right? Like, it's just like the nastiest, most uneconomical, non-Euclidean, Sisyphean nightmare to have strayed from mankind's like holy light, right? Like, okay, okay, I think y'all get it, right? UCPIQ8 really isn't that bad. Like, I'm being gratuitous, right? But you get what I mean, right? If you choose it, you're probably going to be fine. With that said, if you choose to write UCPIQ8, totally cool beans, all right? Just don't let the average Reddit goober have a meltdown over it or anything, all right? Okay, cool, cool. Okay, so here we go, all right? We're just going to get right into it. So, beyond what has already been shared in your application, what do you believe makes you a strong candidate for admissions to the University of California? Okay, so I'm just gonna try to make this super quick because if you really just get 3 points pretty solid, this UCPIQ8 is pretty much in the bag. So number one, define strong candidate. So I think I'm gonna try to be really transparent here. I think a lot of people write really weak UCPIQ8 essays because they don't really define what their definition of a strong candidate really is. Like they have what you might consider to be an abstract cloud in their mind of what ought to be a great candidate, but they don't really instantiate that into word form. Like they'll know a good candidate is probably something like smart, creative, have fascinating experiences or backgrounds to share with the community, but they don't really define it in a concrete manner. They just write UCPIQ8 without connecting back to why the chosen characteristic makes them a strong candidate. Okay, so let's just take an example, right? Let's say you're one of those like Bay Area kind of like startup kids, right? You probably have a lot to contribute to the UC community as a strong candidate because your experience working on creating your own projects and being in that startup ecosystem ensures you're someone who's really great at developing connections and forging great relationships via team efforts, right? Now, that doesn't just improve yourself though, right? When you're networking with people, you're a node in a web of connections, right? We kind of mentioned this a little bit before in some of the previous videos, right? And so that means that everyone else benefits from you connecting with them, as they're also connected with your friends and can benefit from it too. It's a symbiotic relationship, right? Now, keep in mind, UCPIQ8 isn't exactly a walk in the park either. There are, in fact, going to be some pitfalls to answering what makes you a strong candidate. Specifically, I'm talking about main character syndrome, right? So remember, you can brag a little bit, right? It's literally in the UC PIQ prompt instructions, like below the actual PIQ8 prompt below. But you just don't want to be delusional, right? Like, chances are you're not going to be uprooting all the problems at the University of California system in one fell swoop, right? Because you're the main character in this arc, right? Like, not really, right? In fact, university is a place for you to learn and grow over time, right? So it's wise to answer PIQ8 explaining how you'll be a great addition to the school, but you should still be tempering your answer with humility, right? Now, I'm going to be honest here, okay? The element of PIQ8 that can make this a little bit challenging is that like you're going to be trying to prove with your limited years of experience how you'd be a great candidate for this institution, right? So it's kind of similar to a little bit of the issues with PIQ6, right? But to be fair, it's not going to be as hard as PIQ6, right? You could be a great candidate for a school and still have some interesting skills and attributes and characteristics to prove it, right? Being a great decision maker for a robotics team means you can take initiative when unexpected problems arise, which is great for advocating for your fellow UC classmates. Being both a comp sci student and someone who loves literature, storytelling, and writing fiction, right, means you'll have a unique perspective to share share with clubs on campus like that of the indie game dev community, right? Which especially benefits from both your comp sci and great writing skills, right? It might be a little tricky to prove you're a solid candidate, but it's still doable. Not as hard as passion. Uh, okay, so with that out of the way, let's get to the next one, all right? Number two, this is going to be your chance for creative perspectives, all right? So I want to clarify a few things here for this point. Most people use PIQ8 as a way of sharing some kind of unusual experience. Often it's like something traumatic. Some of this stuff can include things like the death of a family member, right? Sometimes it's going to be things like how they overcame ADHD. Fighting past eating disorders is like a pretty common one, right? That I came across. And how that stuff actually made them into a stronger person, right? I actually think that these topics are actually totally doable, right? But the thing that a lot of people forget is that they really need to drill into some of the deeper reasons that these things make them strong candidates, right? Like, if you're really creative and you take the time to brainstorm your topic, you're likely going to come across some fascinating insights about yourself that reveal just how much of your experience makes you a great candidate. Like, okay, I'm going to give you an example, right? Let's just take let's just say that you're somebody who's like thinning, right? You're like bald, right? You're a high school male and you're worried about going bald. And look, by the way, for my female viewers, right, male pattern baldness is like a terrifying thing, right? I know it's something that everyone likes to joke about, but like, I'm actually gonna try to approach this from a pretty serious perspective, right? So I'll try to be pretty empathetic about this, all right? So look, if you're a man and you're starting to like thin in the hairs, right? Thin in the temples. You know that this is absolutely terrifying, right? They call it the Norwood Reaper, right? And it's actually very hard to stay positive when you lose hair or the Norwood Reaper comes, so to speak, right? Because like one day you're gonna be living life like it's totally normal, and then it just life just throws a curveball at you, right? It's like, wow, now I have to live life without my hair, and I suddenly feel that much more unattractive, right? You don't even need to have lost hair to experience this dread, right? Like the fear that reality entering of your life. Excuse me. The fear of that reality entering your life can really screw with your head, right? And now, by the way, right? How does going through baldness or the fear of it make us a solid candidate, right? Like that's going to be kind of a weird question, right? This is where you can actually get really creative, right? It's because of the hair loss that you had to learn how to accept that which you cannot control. Hair loss comes with it a brutalizing philosophical dictum, right? That to truly be happy in life, you must learn to suspend your sense of want and desire over that which you've no control over, right? And what's actually funny about this is that it actually makes you a really fantastic candidate with this kind of philosophy for a UC school, right? Why, right? Well, it's because you're someone who knows how to apply that philosophy across all disciplines, right? You're someone who becomes strong as a result of accepting great loss, and with that, you can help other fellow students who are suffering through similar situations, which they will, right? Besides, there's going to be plenty of gifted and talented students on campus who feel lost because they're no longer the smartest student in the class, right? Similarly, life took away their smartest kid status, and they need to know how to accept that. So, what starts off as a sad topic about being someone who struggled with balding changes into one about how you can help others with grieving across multiple topics, right? Now, I'm actually pretty glad that I used this example because this actually brings me to the next point, right? Which is number 3. Don't underestimate soft skills. All right, so I think we kind of covered this in a previous video, but I'm sure we did at some point, right? But, like, long story short, okay? I find that a lot of people feel like they need to exaggerate their experience or topic just to make it at least valid when proving they're a solid candidate. And really, as a general rule, like, don't lie, right? Don't be forcefully quirky either. Like, your admissions officers aren't blind, right? They can see through most of the bullshit, but they can also see that you have potential even in your soft skills, right? But I think the reason UCP IQ8 is so hated is because no one seems to know how to really draw out the value from their experiences on a deeper level to prove why they're a great candidate, right? Like, it just ends up sounding surface level, right? But you can do so much with your soft skills to demonstrate how you're a solid candidate. There's so much versatility to soft skills, and I always see my students putting it to waste. Like, harken back to the balding example, okay? So, the soft skills you gain as a result of coping and learning to accept the inevitable have so many applications across the board. It's not unidimensional. And hey, look, man, I get it, right? Proving worthiness and solid candidacy to an institution isn't really easy, right? But hey, right? At least you're not trying to prove inspiration for a field with just 18 years of experience, right? Like, unlike other prompts, right? So, it can always be harder, all right? It certainly can, right? I promise you that, okay? And all right, look, that's about it for this one, okay? Oh, and I know this is practically published on like the final day of the UC deadline, but I seriously hope you guys can get this done and submitted before it's due. Also, I wanted to actually give a special thanks for this video series, right? For the UC PIQ series. Special thanks to Jason X, Amy L, Nathan L, Josh S, Kevin N, and Sandra N. For especially just helping me out with like a whole bunch of things, right? Especially things like helping me respond to all of my emails, right? Gathering all the dumb meme photos for the UCP IQ series, and like obviously, right? Like getting me Boba to help fuel my video production. So, oh, and don't think that I'm gonna be forgetting this, right? Thank you guys all, right? Thank you all for supporting me through the UCPIQ video series. Like, seriously, I know we're all in this absurd college admissions journey together, right? And even if we're working so hard just to suckle off that sweet, sweet paycheck at the end of the tunnel, I get it, right? I understand it, right? This is a grind that's like relatable to everybody, right? Even if it makes us a bunch of goobers, right? And not gonna lie, I'm going to be making not just other college app related content on this channel, I'll also be covering private schools as well, but I'm also thinking of making education and career advice related content. So that'll be applicable even, if you graduate from high school or, roughly speaking, if you're looking to be in the workforce and all that, right? So, yeah. Thanks so much, you guys, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next couple videos. Remember, just don't be a goober, all right? you know, like, that's about it, all right? See ya.